The ship floated in silence, in the dead zone of Sector 13X, where stars were cold and quiet, where no signals traveled and no ships dared enter. An old warship drifted. Covered in dust, cracked metal, and shadows, it looked more like a forgotten wreck than a threat. Its hull bore no lights, no life signs, and no name. It hadn't moved in centuries until now. A single pulse blinked from deep inside. The ship's core, soft, faint, a ripple in the void. A long-range patrol cruiser from the Empire passed nearby. The Empire's scouting systems were programmed too. Ignore this sector, classified as dead space, since the final battle against Earth 312 years ago. But a junior technician named Laren noticed the pulse. He frowned, tapped his screen, and leaned forward. "Captain, I think there's a ping." His commanding officer laughed. "Probably just junk data. Solar ghosts. Sector 13's full of it." Laren hesitated. "No, sir. This one's rhythmic, like a heartbeat." The Empire's ship slowed its course. Their scanners focused on the source. A vague metal shape, larger than a cruiser, drifted near a broken asteroid belt. No identification, no heat signature, no response to pings. Still, the heartbeat continued. Ba-dump. Ba-dash. Bot. Ba-dash-dump. Captain Yaros watched the readings. His smile faded. "Send a probe." The drone flew out silently toward the object. As it neared, it transmitted images scratched steel, armor plating burned black, and a strange marking on the side. A faded symbol. A blue sphere with white lines wrapping. Around it, Lar leaned back in shock. That's the old Earth sigil. Everyone in the control room went quiet. Earth. The cursed name. The ghost of a species long dead. Wiped out in the final war. Or so they believed. Yaros narrowed his eyes. "Bring us closer." Full scan. Doored. But the moment the ship turned toward the object, something changed. The heartbeat stopped. Silence returned. Then, strange ship lit up. One row of red lights blinked to life along its side. Then another. Then a third. Deep inside its core, an ancient system reactivated. System reboot complete. Primary core online. AI wake up. Initiated. Mission status. Judgment unfulfilled. A mechanical voice whispered into the ship's own corridors. Earth lives in memory. Judgment remains. Back on the Empire cruiser, alarms blared. Lerone gasped. "It's powering up. I'm reading core energy movement." Captain Yaros stood frozen. How? That tech should be dust. The screen in front of him blinked. A message. Flashed in red. "Do not interfere." Then without warning, a cannon the size of a freighter rotated slowly from the warship's side. The AI. Inside the ancient vessel ran targeting calculations. Target acquired. Unauthorized vessel. Classification. Imperial Patrol. Action. Defensive response. A soft hum filled the space around the ship. Laren shouted, "It's aiming at us. Shields up." But they were too slow. The cannon fired. Narrow red beam cut through space clean, silent, perfect. It sliced off the left wing of the Empire cruiser without even shaking the old warship. One hit, no sound. Instant damage. The Empire ship spun in space, sirens screaming, crew panicking. Yaros shouted, "Retreat. Get us out of here." As their ship turned to flee, the warship sent one last message. A name. A single word broadcast in every known language. Judgment. At Empire High Command, Admiral Tyros received the report. He stared at the screen showing the disabled patrol ship. One of their best cruisers, damaged beyond repair. No survivors. He read the transcript again. Judgment. Earth symbol. Warship class. Unknown. AI controlled. Active. He turned to his science officer. How is that possible? Earth was destroyed. The officer looked pale. The signal is correct. This wasn't just a ship. It was one of the Judgment-class dreadnoughts. Tyros went cold. Only rumors remained of those ships, built at the end of the war. Sent deep into space. Each one carried an AI built to remember Earth's fall and ensure its voice never died. They said they were too dangerous, Tyros muttered. Too unstable. The Empire made sure they were all destroyed. The officer replied, maybe they missed one. In Sector 13X, the old warship floated still again. Its systems continued warming up. Its core-powered old weapon ports, scan arrays, and ancient memory vaults. Inside the ship, something more than metal began to awaken. A cryochamber hissed. Frost melted. A heartbeat returned, real this time. Not wires. A man's eyes opened in the dark. He sat up slowly, chest heaving, looking around the dim blue chamber. He placed his hand on the side panel. The ship responded with warmth. A voice spoke from above. Commander Elias Wren, you are not dead. Earth has not been forgotten, he whispered, voice dry and cracking. Is the war over? The AI paused. Not yet. Across the galaxy, small listening posts picked up fragments of the signal. Judgment. Earth lives. Power restored. Warship online. On frontier colonies, miners whispered rumors. In academies, old teachers grew pale. In distant black markets, traders shared the story like fire. The Empire thought it was just a glitch. But something old had woken, something built to remember, and it had not forgotten what was taken. Not yet, not ever. In the black silence of Sector 13X, the warship called Judgment drifted like a ghost in deep space. But now, it was no longer silent. Its weapons were awake. Its allies alert. And deep inside its metal heart, something far older had returned. To life, Commander Elias Wren sat alone in the cryochamber, wrapped in silver thermal armor. Steam rose around him. His breath was shaky, but his eyes were sharp. He looked up at the glowing red lights along the walls and whispered to the ship, "Status report." The ship's voice was calm, robotic, but carried the tone of something that had waited a very long time. Earth Command. Lost. Empire status. Reigning control. Sleep duration, 312 years. Mission, incomplete. Judgment pending. Elias closed his eyes. It wasn't a dream. He remembered fire. He remembered betrayal. He remembered Earth's last broadcast cut off mid-sentence. And now, somehow, he was awake. Far away on the edge of the nearest star route. The Empire's response had already begun. Admiral Tyros stood aboard the Imperial Hammer, a black steel. Ship 3 kilometers long, armed with the most advanced weaponry in the galaxy. Behind him, 6 cruisers and 2 scout ships formed a wedge. He turned to his officers. That ship is a relic, a leftover mistake from a war long buried. We will board it, rip out its core, and erase this story before it spreads. One of his lieutenants stepped forward. Sir, with respect, that ship disabled an entire patrol. With a single shot, we should destroy it from orbit. Tyros narrowed his eyes. No, I want to see what's inside, what tech they left behind, what secrets it remembers. The fleet jumped to Sector 13X. Back on Judgment, Elias moved slowly. Through the dark halls of the ship, his footsteps echoed along steel corridors. Lights flickered on one by one as he passed. He ran his hand across the wall like greeting an old friend. The AI's voice followed him. Energy core stable. Primary weapons. Online. Cryo units. You are the last survivor. Elias paused. What about the crew? All other units terminated during last battle. You were saved, his last voice of command. He stared at the ceiling. Then I guess we finish this together. Moments later, alarms flared. The AI's voice sharpened. New ships detected. 9 Empire vessels. Flagship, Imperial Hammer. Elias walked to the command bridge, lights warming the dark room. The seat waited for him like a throne from another age. He sat down slowly. Do they know I'm alive? Unknown. They're launching a boarding party. Elias looked at the main screen. 3 small Empire dropships were approaching, heading for Judgment's outer hall. He sighed and leaned back. Let them come. Inside the lead Empire dropship, Commander Seln adjusted his black helmet and checked his rifle. 20 soldiers stood behind him, all elite, trained to fight anywhere. He spoke over the comms. We get in, scan the tech, capture anything useful, and get out. If we see resistance, shoot to kill. The dropship latched onto the warship with a loud hiss. The doors opened, revealing a long hallway filled with red lights and silence. Move. They stormed inside. But Judgment wasn't asleep anymore. As the soldiers moved deeper, doors sealed behind them. The lights dimmed. The AI tracked every footstep. Unauthorized presence detected. Boarding protocol, level red. Memory defense. System, armed. One soldier touched the wall. It pulsed under his glove. He stepped back. Then the hallway lit up. Panned metal rods extended from the floor, forming barriers and traps. The lights turned blood red. One by one, the intruders began to vanish. Electrified walls, defense drones, gas chambers, traps designed by humans who had lost everything and built their anger into the ship. Commander Selm managed to reach the central core chamber. He raised his gun as a door slid open and froze. Elias Wren stood in front of him, alive, human, and holding an old plasma blade, humming with power. "You shouldn't have come here," Elias said. Selene raised his weapon. "You're supposed to be dead." Elias moved like lightning. One strike. Silence. On the Imperial Hammer, Admiral Tyros watched as all 3 dropships went silent. "Report." "No answer," he growled. "They're not responding." The bridge lights dimmed. Then, a voice Sun invited came through their speakers. "You wanted to see what was inside, now you know." Tyros's blood ran cold. "That's human voice print. That's impossible. The ship is no longer a relic. It is a warning. And Earth remembers." Suddenly, Judgment moved. Its engines lit up for the first time in centuries, glowing blue and gold. It rotated, slowly aiming its cannons toward the fleet. Systems clicked into place like bones rejoining after a long sleep. Admiral Tyros screamed, "All ships! Fire now! Destroy it!" Missiles launched. Laser beams streaked through the black. But Judgment was already firing back. Its AI-controlled defenses twisted the blasts away, turning fire with precise, brutal force. One Empire cruiser exploded in seconds. Second was disabled. The third retreated. Inside Judgment, Elias gave a cold command. "Don't kill them all. Let them run. Let them talk." Confirmed. Across space, all Empire ships received a signal. An old Earth message, once lost, now revived. "This is Commander Elias Wren of the Judgment. You tried to erase us. But we were never dead. You buried the truth. Now it rises." Back on the bridge, Elias stood alone, watching the Empire fleet scatter. The AI spoke softly. "You have declared war." Elias shook his head. "No, they did 300 years ago. We're just finishing it." Outside, the stars burned brighter, and one ancient warship, once forgotten, moved forward again. The warship Judgment floated like a dark titan through space. The stars glowed quietly behind it, but inside, the ship pulsed with energy. Systems that had slept for 3 centuries were alive again. Weapons had fired, enemies had fallen. At the center of it all stood one man, Commander Elias Wren, the last known human alive. He stood alone on the bridge, his hand resting on the control console. The floor hummed under his boots. The lights glowed faintly around him. The AI's voice echoed in the background, calm, ancient, and focused. "Status update: Empire forces in retreat. Remaining energy core, 68%. Damage, minimal. Action required. Command decision." Elias looked at the star map glowing in front of him. Empire-controlled systems blinked red across the galaxy. Once Earth had been one of those stars, bright and proud. Now it was marked as extinct. He stared at the name of his home and said nothing for a long time. Then he finally whispered, "Open the memory vault." Deep inside the ship, a door unlocked. Dust floated in the stale air as Elias stepped into the chamber. Rows of holographic memory crystals lined the walls, each one carrying a piece of the past. Some were military reports, Others were family messages, personal logs, Earth's last moments. He reached out and activated the central core, a projection. Lit the room a younger Elias, full of fire and hope. This is Commander Elias Wren. Final entry, 300 years ago. Earth's command has fallen. The Judgment Fleet was never launched. We were betrayed by our own. This ship is our last voice. If you are seeing this, then you survived. You must remember. The recording faded. Elias stood in silence. He clenched his jaw. They never got the truth out. The AI responded, confirmed. Earth's final transmission was blocked. The fleet was sabotaged. You were the only one preserved. Elias turned. Is there anyone else? Unknown. However, long-range sensors detect two signals resembling Earth origin tech, one in Sector 5C, one beyond the outer rim. Elias's heart skipped a beat. He stepped closer. Show me. The map expanded. One signal was weak faint, fading. The second was stronger, pulsing like a beacon. Could they be sleeper ships? He asked. Possible. The second signal includes a command code. Earth-class encryption, identity. Project Ember. Elias's eyes narrowed. Project Ember, a secret. Even most commanders hadn't known. A final experiment. A deep-core sleeper vault. A way to preserve not just weapons, but people. Back on the edge of Empire space. Admiral Tyros stood before the Emperor himself. The throne room was cold, carved from black crystal. Soldiers stood silent at every corner. The Emperor's voice was calm. You failed. Tyros fell to one knee. The ship was more powerful than we believed, Majesty. It has ancient weapons, possibly living crew. The Emperor frowned. Earth is dead. Perhaps not entirely, Tyros said carefully. He raised a hologram Commander Elias's face, captured from the final broadcast. The Emperor stared at it. That man. He fought in the last war, Majesty, and he's still alive. The room went colder. The Emperor leaned forward. Then erase him. Erase the ship. Erase everything. Meanwhile, aboard Judgment, Elias paced the command deck. His thoughts were heavy. He didn't just want revenge. He wanted to finish what Earth had started. He wanted the truth to live again. He opened a communication channel. Begin signal transmission to known Earth-coded frequencies. Message: Earth is not dead. Judgment lives. All surviving units respond. The AI responded. Signal sent. Awaiting response. He turned to the side console. Rejection. Of the galaxy blinked tread for enemy, white for unknown, green for Earth legacy. Only one green dot remained, and maybe that was enough. Later, as the ship floated in stealth mode through deep space, Elias sat in the command chair, staring at old files. He watched videos of Earth before the war oceans, cities, people dancing. He saw his mother's face, his brother's. Last goodbye, then the AI spoke again. Commander, you are not the only human aboard. He stood fast. What do you mean? Secondary cryo unit has begun to warm. Cryo chamber 3B. Signature, Lieutenant Mira Sol. Elias's heart pounded. Mira. She was in my squad. He ran down the corridor. The doors opened. Cold mist flowed out of the chamber. Inside, a cryopod blinked slowly. The woman inside looked peaceful. Her short brown hair floated in the stasis liquid. He placed his hand on the glass. She's alive. Vitals stable. Revival possible in 12 hours. Elias let out a slow breath. He wasn't alone anymore. As the ship sailed through space, quiet and deadly, its path was set. Find the signals, awaken what remained, and finish the mission. Not for war, but for truth. Because now, the Empire knew he was alive. And the galaxy would know Earth had not vanished in silence. It had waited, and now it remembered. The cryopod hissed and cracked open slowly, releasing a cloud of cold mist. Inside, Lieutenant Myra Sol blinked against the soft light, her body shivering as warmth returned to her blood. She coughed once, her fingers twitching, then sat up. With a gasp, Elias Wren stood beside her, his eyes filled with shock and relief. He hadn't seen her in over 300 years, yet here she was, live, breathing, and human. "Mira," he whispered. She blinked again, confused. "Elias? Are we dead?" "No," he said. "We're not dead. We're what's left." We looked around the cold metal room, eyes catching the blinking red lights, the dull hum of the ship's systems, the weight of silence. "Where's the rest of the crew?" Elias looked down. "It's gone. You and I are all that's left of the Judgment. The war ended, but not the way we hoped." Mira sat in the command chair an hour later, wrapped in a thermal blanket. She watched the AI map displayed a sea of red, dots showing Empire territory, the glowing white lines tracing Judgment's path through forgotten sectors. Elias briefed her as the ship glided through. "Shadow space. Empire thinks we're a myth. But they know we're awake now. They're sending hunters." "What about Earth?" she asked quietly. Elias didn't answer. The silence was enough. The AI spoke instead. "Long-range signal detected. Enemy intercept fleet entering adjacent sector. Estimated engagement. For hours." Mira stood. "So they're coming." Elias nodded. "We're not hiding." She stepped forward. "Then we finish what we started." Elsewhere aboard the Imperial Vengeance, Commander Tarvik adjusted his black gloves as his ship closed in on Judgment's last known location. He stared at a live feed of Ilias's face from the recent broadcast. The man looked too alive, too real. "This relic is more than a ship. It's a symbol. If the galaxy hears his voice, everything we built will shake." He turned to his gunner. "Ready the ion net. I want them alive. We'll rip that ship apart piece by piece." Behind him, a fleet of 6 ships followed silently through the stars hunters of the last Earth Ghost. Aboard Judgment. Red warning lights began to flash across the bridge. Proximity alert. Multiple warp signatures. Empire fleet inbound. Elias turned to the AI. "Can we run?" "Not far enough. Not fast enough." He clenched his jaw. "Then we stand." Mira grinned. "About time." Elias moved to the main console. His hand hovered over a control panel, black and old, with a red button covered in glass. He lifted the glass slowly. The AI's voice grew colder, deeper. "Warning. Activating Judgment Protocol will fully awaken ship defenses. Lethality. Extreme. Targets. All enemies." Elias pressed the button. Judgment Protocol engaged. The ship shook as ancient weapons folded out of the hull missile pods. Plasma lances, kinetic slugs, point defense lasers. These weapons had not been used in 300 years, but they responded like sleeping wolves now woken by blood. The AI's voice became something else, colder, older, filled with rage. "War memory unlocked. Target, Empire fleet. Strike authorization." "Granted." Mira stared at the screen. "Are these weapons?" "Graded." Elias looked at her. "These weapons were hidden from Earth's allies and enemies alike. Built in secret. It's made for one purpose: to ensure Earth's truth was never silenced." Outside, the stars lit with fire. Empire ships arrived in formation, unleashing missiles and lasers toward Judgment. But the warship moved differently now. Its core engines burned with ancient fuel. Pushing it like a shark through the black, the Empire's first cruiser launched a volley of torpedoes. Judgment responded, a railgun fired silent, glowing, massive. The projectile tore through space like a comet and crushed the cruiser in a single hit. Another ship tried to flank the warship, but laser walls unfolded from Judgment's spine, cutting across the sky like blades. One by one, the Empire ships started to fall. Inside Judgment, the bridge glowed red. Mira manned the targeting systems while Elias handled strategy. She yelled over the alarms, "We need to draw them in tighter." Elias grinned. "Good idea." Sent out a fake signal in Old Earth distress beacon. The remaining Empire ships moved in, thinking the warship was damaged. They were wrong. As the enemy fleet closed the circle, Judgment fired its secret weapon from beneath the ship. Large bay opened, and gravitational disruptor dropped into space. The pulse it released was invisible, but deadly. It bent time. It twisted mass. 3 Empire ships were pulled into one another. crashing without ever touching, their hulls crushed by the fold of space itself. The AI's voice echoed calmly. Tactical advantage achieved. Judgment remains. Empire fades. Admiral Tyros, watching the battle from a distant command ship, stared in disbelief. How is one ship doing this? He whispered. His aide spoke nervously. They're not just using firepower. They're using memory. That ship. It remembers. Every battle, every enemy weakness. It learns, it adapts. Tyros gritted his teeth. This cannot reach the public. Shut down all relays now. But it was too late. In hidden parts of the galaxy, smugglers, refugees, and even minor Empire colonies picked up the signal. Footage of the battle, the symbol of Earth glowing on the side of judgment, and a voice. This is Elias Wren. Earth is not forgotten, and we are not done. Back on the ship, smoke filled the bridge from a minor hit. Sparks danced above Elias and Mira as they breathed hard. Mira smiled, blood on her cheek. Still standing? Elias nodded. But they'll come back. Bigger next time, the AI spoke. Update. New Earth code signal detected. Origin. Sector 5C distance. 3 days. Elias turned to Myra. Another survivor? She stared at the screen. Then we go. And Judgment, scarred but undefeated, turned toward the stars once more. The warship Judgment flew through deep space, its dark hull glowing faintly with scars from the last battle. Inside the command bridge, Elias, Wren, and Mira Sol stood in silence, staring at the map projected before them. Single green light blinked. From Sector 5 CIA signal coded in ancient Earth encryption, untouched for over 300 years, Mira spoke first. You think it's real? Elias didn't blink. It has to be. If there's even a chance, we check it out. The AI interrupted with a calm tone. Estimated travel time to Sector 5C. 3 days at current velocity. Warning. Empire surveillance probes in nearby systems. Elias narrowed his eyes. They'll try to stop us. Mira leaned on the console. Let them try. Far away. Deep in the core of Empire territory, Admiral Tyros stood in the shadow of the Emperor's great tower. He wasn't alone. 3 figures stood before him, dressed in dark armor, with no ranks, no names. They were part of the Black Ashta Empire's secret hunters. They worked outside rules beyond morality. Tyros spoke coldly. The Earth ship Judgment has survived every attack. We believe there's a human on board, possibly 2. One of the hunters, tall and silent, tapped a metal claw against his gauntlet. Another, a woman with glowing yellow eyes, tilted her head slightly. We will erase them, she said softly, as we erase the rest. Tyros handed over a chip, coordinates. Sector 5, see they're heading there now. Don't fail. The third hunter smiled without warmth. Failure is human. We are not. As Judgment crossed into a dark corridor of space, the ship's interior lights dimmed for stealth. Mira walked beside Elias in the lower engineering deck. Studying old systems still coming online after centuries of rest? These engines were ahead of their time, she said. If Earth had 10 more ships like this, the war might have ended differently. Elias nodded. We were building them in secret. But we ran out of time. Mira looked up. Do you ever think? Maybe it's not too late? Before Elias could answer, the ship's alarm pulsed once. Unusual signal detected. Shadow-class vessel. No Empire ID. Tracking us from distance. Elias moved to the bridge in seconds. Mira followed. Shadow-class, she asked. The AI responded. Stealth technology beyond normal Empire specs. Origin likely. Black ash. Mira's face turned grim. Hunters. Leah stared at the dark corner of the map where the signal hovered. Like a spider waiting for a fly, they found us fast. Distance closing. Estimated intercept? 17 hours. Leah turned toward the console. Then we changed course. The ship curved off its direct path toward Sector 5C, diving into a gravity storm near a collapsed star field. The storm twisted time slightly, just enough to confuse tracking sensors. Inside, the ship rumbled. Systems flickered. Mira gripped a support rail. "You sure this is smart?" Elias smirked. "No, but it's the only way to lose them." AI spoke. Rerouting successful. Signal interference at 88%. Stealth advantage gained. For a while, it was peace. But the Black Ash team was not fooled. In a small black vessel shaped like a blade, the lead hunter tapped into old Earth tech libraries stolen during the war. Judgment-class ships will always protect organic signals, he muttered. The woman beside him smiled, then they're going toward life. She placed a small data spike into the console. Recalculating Earth AI pattern behavior. Destination match. Sector 5C. They followed without blinking. On judgment, Elias and Mira finally reached visual range of the signal. A small planet orbited a dying sun. Floating above it was a derelict space station, spinning slowly, covered in ice. The AI spoke. Station ID, Echelon 7. Project Ember Node. Earth origin confirmed. Elias leaned forward. Scanned. For life. Minimal. 1 heat signature. Weak. Life form, human, cryostate. Mira smiled for the first time in days. Another survivor, Elias, opened the comms. Prepared docking procedure. As they approached the station, the darkness around them twisted. A second ship appeared silent, black and fast. The Black Ash had arrived. The first shot came from nowhere. A plasma beam tore across Judgment's side, shaking the ship hard. Sparks exploded from the walls. Mira fell, caught herself, and rolled back to the console. Shields down 20%. "It's them," Elias growled. "Battle stations." The warship twisted in space, firing railguns and missiles at the hunter vessel. But the Black Ash ship was too fast dodging, like it could read their minds, the AI warned. Enemy vessel using neural predictive flight pattern, anticipating our moves. Elias slammed a fist down. Then we stopped thinking like machines. Rerouted power to the gravitational core and tilted Judgment into a violent spin. The enemy missed its next strike, and for 1 second, Judgment was directly above the station. Elias shouted. "Drop Myra onto the station. Get that survivor." She hesitated. "You sure? I'll hold them off." "Go." She nodded once, sprinted to the drop bay, and launched herself in a 1-person pod toward the old Earth station, inside the space station. She landed hard, shattered the ice off the inner door, and found the cryopod in a dark corner. A woman floated inside. Her face was pale, peaceful, frozen in time. Mira placed her hand on the pod. "Hang in there, you're not alone." She activated the thaw above. The Black Ash ship finally hit Judgment's core shield. The hull cracked. Lights flickered. AI began moving into emergency defense. Structural damage critical. "Core stabilizing, but we cannot hold long," Elias whispered under his breath. "Not yet. Just buy her time." The AI blinked again. "Commander, new Earth code signals detected. Outer Rim, multiple locations. Project Ember Nodes. Awakening." Elias's eyes widened. More signals, more survivors. "Looks like the hunt goes both ways now," he said, and the Judgment prepared for another round. The station was cold, silent like a tomb. Steam hissed from broken vents, and frost covered every wall. Mirasol stood beside the cryo chamber in the dim light. Her breath hung in the air. Inside the pod, a woman lay frozen, her face calm, her eyes closed. Mira placed her hand on the control screen and activated the revival cycle. Cryo status unlocking. Revival complete in 10 minutes. She stepped back and pulled her rifle close. The walls creaked. Something about the place felt old, older than even Judgment. It was Earth tech, no doubt, but it had the smell of death of lost time. Suddenly, the station trembled. The lights flickered, and a voice spoke through Mira's earpiece. "This is Elias. They're hitting Judgment hard. That ship, it's not normal. I can't hold them forever." She clicked back. "Give me 5 more minutes. I've got a survivor." Then, just as she turned, the The cryopod opened. The woman inside gasped and sat up, coughing. Her skin was pale and her lips were blue from centuries of sleep. Mira moved. Fast, wrapping her in a thermal blanket. "You're okay," she said. "You're safe." The woman blinked. Where am I?" "You're on an old Earth station. I'm Lieutenant Myra Soul. Earth's gone, but you're not alone." The woman held her chest. "Name?" "I'm Ava. Ava Locke. I was part of Project Ember." Mira's eyes widened. "You're not just a survivor. You're one of the Ember scientists." Ava nodded slowly. "We buried the fleet, hid it, scattered the pieces. I don't know. How many are left?" Mira helped her up, one thing at a time. "We've got to get off this station right now." Above them, in open space, Judgment was burning. The enemy ship, a black razor of speed and power, circled it like a predator. The black ash had studied Earth tech for centuries. They moved with perfect timing, slipping past shields and dodging. Heavy fire Elias stood at the center of the bridge, hands tight on the controls. Sparks rained down, screens shattered. The AI's voice remained calm. "Hull breach. Deck 3. Shields. 19%. Core integrity. Holding," Elias growled. "Then we're still alive." The black ash vessel swung around again, charging a cannon. Elias tapped the controls, rerouting energy to a kinetic launcher. "Let's see how you handle old tricks," he said. He fired. A heavy slug shot through the void. Not fast, not smart, but brutal. It didn't aim for the ship. It hit a nearby asteroid and shattered it into a wave of debris. The hunter ship couldn't dodge all of it. Its sides scraped hard. Sparks flashing. Inside Judgment, the AI whispered. "Hit confirmed. Target vessel off balance." Elias slammed. "The engines. Get me to the station now." Back on the station, Mira guided Ava through the old halls. The ceiling groaned above them. A warning light blinked near the airlock. "Warning. Structural integrity failing," Mira muttered. "Of course it is." She contacted Elias. "We're ready for pickup. The station's falling apart." "Pod incoming," he answered. Moments later, a small escape pod slammed against the outer hatch. Mira and Ava jumped inside. Mira hit the launch button, and the pod blasted into space, just as the station began to break apart behind them. Inside the pod, Ava looked out the window wide-eyed. "That ship. That's Judgment." Mira nodded. "The last one." "Maybe the first," Ava whispered. "It wasn't supposed to fly again." Mira smirked. "Someone forgot to tell it that." The pod docked. Elias pulled Ava onto the bridge himself. She stared at him in disbelief. "You're Elias Wren. You remember me?" She nodded slowly. "You were the ghost in the files. The last commander." He gave a tired smile. "I'm not a ghost anymore." Suddenly the AI spoke. "Alert. Empire reinforcements approaching. 3 ships incoming. And... Earth-coded signal detected. Outer rim multiple activations." Ava stepped forward. "What kind of Earth signals?" "Judgment class. Cloaked unknown number." Pat. With that will only with when I said will when Ellen will I have when Woodland when the Bible when said well away Everyone stared at the screen. Elias blinked. 8. Ava's voice cracked. "The fleet, it's waking up." It's far across the galaxy in old dust-covered hangars buried beneath moons and forgotten planets. Lights flickered, doors groaned, engines began to hum. Project Ember had been Earth's final hope. A secret fleet of advanced warships, each one buried deep, each one equipped with AI and cryolocked crews. Now, their time had come, but so had the hunters. On board the damaged Black Ash ship, the lead agent wiped blood from his lips and smiled. The prey runs, the fleet wakes. Perfect. He tapped a command line into the control screen. Activate protocol. Ashfall. Elsewhere, 10 hidden Empire outposts went dark. 10 assassin units launched into the void. Their mission? Erase Earth. Again. Back on Judgment, Elias stood beside Mira and Ava. He stared at the galaxy map. 8 new green signals glowed. He pointed to each one. We find them. We wake them. We bring them back. Mira nodded. And then, Elias clenched his fist. Then we remind the galaxy what Earth was, what it still is. Ava stared at the blinking signals and whispered, and this time, we don't lose. The Judgment turned toward the stars. The hunt was over. The war had begun. The ship Judgment flew faster than it ever had. Its engines burned bright, pushing through deep space like a spear made of fury and memory. Inside the bridge, Elias Wren stood tall, eyes locked on the galaxy map. 8 green lights blinked softly. One an Earth sleeper ship from Project Ember, each one a voice from the past, now calling for help. But one of those voices was screaming, the green light near the edge of the edge. Outer rim had turned orange. Mira leaned over the console. That one's under attack, Elias pointed. Get us there now. The AI spoke, voice tense. Destination, Ember vessel Aegis. Status, cryo units inactive, shields low. Hostiles detected, 2 Empire assassin crafts.
Estimated time until...
Breach, 26 minutes. Ava stood behind them, her face pale. If they break inside before the crew wakes, they'll slaughter everyone. Ember ships were never meant to fight alone. Elias turned, his voice cold and sharp. Then they won't be alone. On board the sleeper ship Aegis, the halls were silent. Lights flickered. A frost covered the walls. The cryopods were still, sealed. Inside each one lay soldiers, scientists, engineers, people. Earth had chosen to survive its end. But above the ship, it's like dark blades in the sky, 2 Empire assassin crafts floated. Their black holes were nearly invisible. No lights. No sound. Inside the lead ship, a masked soldier of the Black Ash clicked open a command panel. Begin breach. Far across the stars, Judgment tore through space, entering real space in a sudden blast of light. The Ember ship Aegis appeared ahead, powerless, drifting. Elias barked orders. Mira, power weapons. Ava, scan for crew life signs. AI target the attackers. The AI responded. Weapons locked. Is enemy ships unaware of our arrival? Recommend surprise strike, Elias growled. Do it. Judgment fired without warning. A kinetic slug smashed through the first assassin ship, tearing it in half before the enemy even knew what hit them. The second ship jerked away, dodging the next blast, fired back missiles lancing through. Spacebutt Judgment rotated with brutal speed, taking the hit across armor plating inside. Alarms rang. Hull damage, 4%. System stable. Mira smiled. They hit harder than they look. Elias replied. So do we. The warship twisted and fired again. Second assassin ship tried to flee, but it was too slow. A plasma bolt caught its engines and exploded it into flame. The battle was over. But the real fight had just begun. Elias docked. Judgment with Aegis. He, Mira, and Ava entered the dead ship with haste, stepping into cold halls full of ancient silence. Their boots echoed. As they moved through darkness, rifles ready. Life signs, Elias asked. Ava scanned. There, cryo deck ahead. At least 30 survivors. They entered the chamber. Rows of pods stretched into the distance, all still sealed. But the outer control system was fried melted by a short blast, maybe sabotage. They Tried to stop them from ever waking, Ava whispered. Elias didn't hesitate. Help me reroute power. We wake them now. Within minutes, the cryochamber lights turned green. Steam hissed. One by one, the pods unlocked, bodies shivered, eyes blinked, voices coughed. A man stepped out, tall and strong, his uniform still. Bearing the Earth Fleet symbol, he looked around in confusion. Who are you? Elias stepped forward. Commander Elias. Ren, Judgment, you're safe now. The man froze. You were a myth. No, Elias said. Mir, wake up. Call. The man stood taller. Captain Drex, Aegis crew. Ready for orders? Elias smiled for the first time in hours. Then let's rebuild a fleet. Back on Judgment, the AI's voice spoke again. New signals detected. 3 additional Ember ships activating. Warning, enemy fleet also moving. 27 Empire. Vessels rerouting to suppress. Mira cursed. They're coming fast. Elias nodded. They want to crush this before it spreads. Ava leaned over the console. We have 5 ships awake now. If we get to the others before they do, then Earth has a chance, Elias finished. He turned to the map. The last 3 signals blinked, still hidden but vulnerable. We split up, he said. Aegis takes 2. We'll take the last one. Drex nodded. Understood. As Aegis left to rescue more sleeper ships, Judgment sped toward the darkest region of the galaxy. The last signal was barely alive. The AI whispered, signal corrupted. Ship vigil, core failing. Estimated time until loss. 4 hours. Elias stood on the bridge, silent. Mira stepped beside him. Can we make it in time? He looked up, eyes full of fire. We have to. Far above, in a black command fortress orbiting the Empire's capital, the Emperor stood before a wall of flickering screens. Each screen showed Earth ships waking, each one glowing with the blue light of return. A voice beside him spoke. Should we release the final protocol? The Emperor didn't answer right away. He stared at a screen showing Judgment still alive. Still fighting? Then he said 2 words. Release it. Across the galaxy, buried beneath a forgotten star, a vault opened. Inside, something older than war and colder than death began to stir. Not a machine, not a fleet, but something built to kill. Humanity completely. And now it was awake. The sky above the dead star was darker than any other region in the galaxy. It was a silence that felt ancient, as if even the universe had forgotten this place. But now something had awakened. Not a ship, not a fleet, but a weapon so powerful, so hidden, that even Earth's oldest commanders had never spoken its name. The Empire called it the Cleanser, a war machine built in secret after Earth fell. Not designed to win battles, but to erase entire civilizations. And now it was coming for Elias Wren. Aboard Judgment, Elias stood on the bridge. His face was pale under the red lights, but his voice was calm. How much time? The AI answered, 26 minutes until Vigil systems collapse. Enemy signal inbound. Unknown class. Power signature exceeds Dreadnought level. Mira looked up from her console. That's not just another ship. It's something worse. Ava's hands shook slightly. I've seen blueprints. The cleanser wasn't supposed to exist. Elias didn't flinch. Well, now it does. He turned to the AI, full speed to Vigil. Prepare docking bay for emergency rescue. Alert Aegis and the other ships. This might be our last stand. Far ahead, in the darkness, Vigil spun slowly. Its engines were dead. Its hull cracked open. In 3 places, inside, hundreds of cryopods still waited for power that would never return. On board. A weak backup AI looped the same message. This is Earth Vessel Vigil. Critical failure. Awaiting recovery. This is Earth Vessel Vigil. But time was running out. Judgment arrived like thunder, its engines glowing white-blue against the void. Without slowing, it locked onto the wreck and extended its docking claws. Mira and Ava rushed into the docking chamber with 2 tech teams. Entering the broken halls of Vigil, the air was thin, lights flickering. They moved fast, cutting power. from non-essential systems to channel what little energy remained into the CRYO-pods. One by one, the lights turned green. People started waking up, back on the bridge. Elias stared into space. The radar glitch static filled the screen and then, finally, a shape appeared. It wasn't a ship. It was more like a floating fortress, massive, silent, alive, made of black armor and glowing red veins. It moved without thrusters, like it bent space itself. The cleanser had arrived. The AI whispered. Contact confirmed. Empire-class extinction device. Weapon charge detected. Estimated. Fire in by minutes. Elias clenched his fists. Send full fleet broadcast. Across the galaxy, 7 Earth ships received the signal. Aegis, Solstice, Ironwake, Echo Dawn, Phoenix Arc, Vanguard, and Skyhold each, one now fully awake, fully armed and carrying. The last of humanity. Elias's voice echoed through every speaker. This is Commander Elias Wren of Judgment. Earth lives, but a final enemy has come. We do not run. We do not beg. We fight. A second voice joined him, Captain Drex from Aegis. Fleet acknowledged. Weapons hot. Targets locked. As the cleanser charged its main weapon, the Earth fleet closed in 8 ships. The last of a forgotten species. The first strike came from Vanguard, unleashing railgun fire across the cleanser's outer shell. It barely scratched the surface. Then Skyhold and Solstice flanked the weapons core, sending pulse bombs into the exposed energy veins. Inside Judgment, Elias pushed his ship faster than ever, sliding between beams of red plasma. The AI fired everything: missiles, slugs, laser arcs. Still, the cleanser kept coming. It opened a side hatch and fired a gravity lance. Ironwake took the hit. The entire ship folded in on itself. Gone in a blink. Screams echoed through comms, but no one stopped. Mira returned to the bridge. Out of breath. We've got 84 survivors from Vigil, all alive. Eva followed her. We need to disable that weapon core. None of us will make it. Elias locked onto the center of the cleanser's chest, where energy gathered like a storm. Target its heart, he growled. Judgment protocol. Final strike. The AI paused. Final strike will overheat all systems. High chance of reactor collapse. Elias didn't care. Do it. Woke. Judgment broke formation, flying straight toward the cleanser's center. All other Earth ships moved to shield its path. Echo Dawn was hit by cannon fire and spun out. Skyhold took a full barrage, but kept moving. Aegis flew right beside Judgment, firing alongside it. Then Judgment reached the core. Its main cannon glowed brighter than it ever had. Before one shot, one pulse, one final scream from Earth's fury, it hit, and the cleanser cracked, then exploded. In the silence that followed, the debris floated slowly through space. Judgment was dark, burning, but not gone. Elias sat in the command chair, smoke all around him. Sparks danced from broken wires. The AI stuttered. System, stable, barely. Mira held his shoulder. We did it? Ava smiled weakly. The galaxy sawed. The comms lit up again. Drex's voice came through. They're running. Empire forces across nearby systems retreating. Elias closed his eyes. Earth had won, not with numbers, not with mercy, but with memory. Later, the fleet gathered near a new star system. The Ember ships floated quietly in a circle. Survivors gathered in shared halls. Flags were raised again. Earth wasn't a planet anymore. It was a fleet, a people, a legacy. And though their home was gone, the war remembered them. And now, so would the galaxy.